Okay, so, welcome back, or, if you're new here, hi. I genuinely don't know how you ended up here, but honestly, I'm really glad you did. So here's how this works. I play Minecraft, I read stories, that's it, that is genuinely the whole thing. People send me their most personal, most dramatic, most why on earth are you telling strangers this stories, and I just read them out loud to the internet while farming wheat in a video game. And somehow that works, so we're keeping it going. Today I have 4 stories, and I'll be honest with you, 2 of them made me actually stop. Like just sit there for a second, not in a bad way, just in a, wow, people really go through it kind of way. Alright, story 1, this one's a relationship story, and it goes about as bad as you're probably imagining. Actually, maybe a little worse. Story 1. She knew the whole time. So this one comes from a woman. She's 29, and she opens her post with something that honestly just stuck with me. She says, I genuinely thought I had figured it out, like I thought I was one of the lucky ones. And I think that line is what makes this one hurt a little extra, because she wasn't being naive. She wasn't ignoring anything. She just thought things were good. She thought they were happy. They weren't. So she'd been with her boyfriend, she calls him Tyler, for about 3 years. 3 years. They were at the stage where they were actively talking about moving in together. What neighbourhood? What kind of place? She said she was happy. She said she genuinely believed he was too. Then one afternoon at work, her co-worker, a woman named Dana, pulls her aside. And Dana goes, Hey, I need to tell you something, and I really need you to stay calm when I say it. You know when someone leads with that. It is never good news. It is never, hey, stay calm, I got you coffee. Never. Dana had been on a dating app the week before, just casually scrolling, and she matched with Tyler, his profile, active, photos, bio, the whole thing set up properly. And not just active, like some old forgotten account, recently active. Dana showed her the timestamp. He had been on the app that morning. That morning. So she goes home. She confronts him, and here's the thing that got me. He doesn't even try to deny it. He just deflates, like the air went out of him, and he admits, yeah, he'd been on the app on and off for over a year. Over a year of being together, while she thought they were serious, while they were talking about apartments. He's been on a dating app. He said he was just curious. She said she almost laughed. She didn't, but she almost did. She believed him about not actually meeting anyone, though. And they broke up, obviously, but she at least thought, okay, that's the full story. Except 3 weeks later, she's talking to mutual friends, and one of them, hesitantly, awkwardly, mentions Tyler's co-worker, a woman she had met personally, sat across from at a dinner party, made actual conversation with. This woman had looked her in the eyes, smiled, asked about her job being completely normal. That woman had been seeing Tyler for 8 months. 8 months. And she knew about her the entire time. She wrote, and I'm going to read this exactly because she said it so well. She wrote, the cheating was bad. Obviously, the cheating was bad, but what I keep coming back to is that dinner, sitting at that table, laughing, and she's right there looking at me, knowing everything, and I'm just completely unaware, like I was the only person at that table who didn't know what the play was. That's such a specific kind of awful. It's not just being hurt. It's feeling like you were out of the loop on your own life. Her update, though, her update is actually good. She said she's okay now. It took a long time, but she's okay. Deleted his number, blocked the co-worker everywhere, and she's just been focusing on herself. She said some days are completely fine, and some days she'll randomly think about that dinner and just feel it all over again. But mostly she's okay, and honestly, I think that's the most real version of a happy ending. Not, I'm completely fine and totally moved on. Just, mostly okay. That's real life. Okay. Story 2. This one is a workplace story, and it has one of the most satisfying endings I have ever read. Like, genuinely, deeply satisfying. Let's get into it. Story 2. I got my boss fired with one email. Okay, real quick. You ever work for someone who takes credit for literally everything you do? Like to the point where you genuinely start questioning whether you exist? This woman is 26. She worked at a marketing company, and her manager, she calls him Greg, which perfect name for this, Greg was exactly that guy. Smart enough to recognise good work, not capable of actually producing it himself. So he just took hers consistently. She'd let the small stuff go. Because what do you do, really? You can't run to HR every single time. So she dealt with it, but then Greg did something so blatant, so completely shameless, that I genuinely had to reread it twice. She had spent 6 weeks building out a full campaign strategy for one of their biggest clients. 6 weeks, research, competitive analysis, full presentation, design mock-ups, all the copy, completely hers, every single piece of it. She emailed the whole thing to Greg on a Friday for him to review, before the client meeting, Monday morning. Greg walks into that meeting and presents her entire campaign, her slides, her exact words, her structure. He didn't change a single thing, not one font, not one slide order. He just opened her file and said, "So here's what I've been working on." She found out from a co-worker who was sitting in that room watching it happen. She said, when she heard, she just went blank for a second, like her brain needed a moment to catch up to what she was being told. She went to the bathroom and just stood there, and then she walked back to her desk. And she got to work. She pulled up every single email she had ever sent Greg related to that campaign. Every draft, every version, every research document, 6 weeks worth, all time-stamped, all showing exactly when she created it and when she sent it to him. She compiled everything and she sent one email to HR, to Greg's manager, and to the VP of the entire company, all at the same time. Subject line: regarding today's client presentation. The body was 4 sentences. She said she wanted to share the original materials she had developed for the campaign, as she believed there may be some confusion around authorship, and she wanted to make sure the right people had the complete picture. That's it. No drama, no accusations, no "Greg stole my work and I'm furious," just "here are the receipts. You figure out what happened." Greg was placed on leave within the week. He resigned shortly after. She was offered his position. She turned it down, because she had already accepted a job somewhere else. 30% pay increase. She gave her 2 weeks, said her goodbyes, and left. She said the last thing Greg ever said to her was, "I hope there are no hard feelings." She smiled and said there weren't. Then she left and never thought about him again. That is a masterclass. The patience, the calmness, collecting everything quietly and letting the email do all the work. I think about that subject line a lot, honestly. Regarding today's client presentation, cold, calculated, perfect, okay, story 3, this one's different, take a breath because it's not dramatic in the same way, it's just quietly, a lot. Story 3. I found out I had a sister at 27. This comes from a 27-year-old woman who did a DNA ancestry test as a birthday present to herself, just for fun, just to see where her family was from. She figured she'd get some percentages and maybe find a distant cousin somewhere. The results came back, and there was a close match in the database. Not a distant cousin, not a second cousin once removed. A first-degree relative, someone sharing 50% of her DNA. She is an only child, has always been an only child. Her parents never once mentioned another child, never hinted at anything, never had any conversation that would suggest otherwise. As far as she knew, it was always just the 3 of them. She said she read the percentage 3 times. She clicked on the profile. The match was a 24-year-old woman, same state as her, with a photo up. And she said, when she saw the photo, her first instinct was to just close the laptop. Because this woman looked like her, not kind of like her, a lot like her, same nose, same eyes, same jawline, like looking at an alternate version of herself that she never knew existed. She sent a message. She kept it simple because she had no idea what this person knew or didn't know. She just wrote, "Hi, I think we might be related based on these DNA results. I don't know what you know, but I just found out about this today, and honestly, I'm a little overwhelmed. I hope it's okay that I reached out." The woman responded within an hour. She was adopted at birth. Her adoptive family had always been open about it. She'd always known. And she had been on that DNA database for 2 years, just waiting, just hoping someone would eventually show up. They got on a phone call that same night and talked for 3 hours. She said she didn't even know where to start. Like, what's the first thing you say? They just kind of went from the beginning. What's your life like? What do you do? What are you actually like as a person? Building something from nothing, with someone who is somehow already yours. As for her parents, she still doesn't have real answers. Every time she tries to bring it up, they redirect the conversation so smoothly it makes her dizzy. She said she doesn't know what upsets her more, the secret itself, or how practiced they are at keeping it. But she said, and this is the part that really stayed with me, she said, I have a sister now. I didn't have one before, and now I do. And however complicated everything else turns out to be, that part is just good. Yeah, that part is just good. Okay. Last story, I saved this one for the end on purpose because we needed something a little lighter after all of that. This one is a confession, and it is absolutely chaotic, but in the funniest, most human way. Story 4. I accidentally faked being sick for 8 months. Okay, stay with me on this one because it starts so normal and then just completely spirals. This is from a 25-year-old who had just started a new remote job. Second week in, she was having a really rough mental health day. Not physically sick, just one of those days where everything feels heavy, and getting out of bed took everything she had. You know those days. So she emails her manager, says she's not feeling well and needs to take the day off. Completely normal, totally reasonable thing to do, except her manager's response was so warm, like genuinely, unexpectedly, almost overwhelmingly kind. Something like, of course, please rest. We have everything handled. Let me know if you need anything. And she said she read that and felt seen in a work setting, which she said had genuinely never happened to her before. So the next time she had a hard week, she did it again, called in not feeling well. Manager was again incredibly understanding, started checking in on her regularly between call-outs. And here is where it goes completely off the rails. The manager, out of genuine care, mentioned it to HR, just casually, like, hey, one of my team members has been having some health stuff, want to make sure we're supporting her properly. HR reached out to her, very gently, very kindly, and said, hey, if there's something ongoing with your health, we'd love to formally set up accommodations so you're fully supported. And she panicked, because the correct answer, the obvious, easy, right there answer, was, thank you so much, it's actually just been some hard weeks mentally. I really appreciate you checking in. That was the door, wide open, easy. She did not walk through it. Instead, she kind of implied it might be something more ongoing. She never named anything specific. She was just vague enough that everyone around her interpreted it as, she has a chronic health condition and we need to accommodate her properly. And just like that, she had a formally documented flexible schedule, adjusted workload, and a full HR support structure, built entirely on something that started as 2 mental health days and 1 very panicked conversation. This went on for 8 months. She said every single day she walked in, she was convinced this was going to be the day it all fell apart. She said she actually started working at an incredibly high level, because the guilt was so overwhelming she felt like she had to earn back everything she'd been given. Eventually, she went to her manager and said she'd been going through a really difficult personal period, but was now doing significantly better and felt ready to step down from the formal accommodations. Her manager cried, told her she was so proud of her for fighting through it. She said she nodded. She also cried. She's genuinely not sure at this point whether those tears were real or not, because the guilt had completely taken on a life of its own. She is still at that job. Her attendance since then has been perfect. Not a single unplanned day off, and she said, and this is honestly my favourite line, she said, I think the guilt just permanently cured me of ever wanting a sick day again, which is a worse outcome than if I'd just been honest from the start. I mean, yeah, honestly, it is, but also, the hard days were real. The mental health stuff was completely real. She just handled the paperwork side of it in a way that got very, very out of hand. We're not here to judge. We're here to observe. With a lot of love. Okay, that's 4 stories for today. We had Tyler and his morning dating app routine. We had Greg getting quietly destroyed by a 4-sentence email. We had a sister appearing out of a DNA database after 27 years of not knowing she existed. And we had someone who accidentally built an entire fake medical accommodation situation at work and then had to live in it for 8 months. People go through it. Every single time I sit down to do one of these, I think, okay, surely I've heard everything by now, and then I haven't. Every single time. Now, if you have a story you want me to read, I genuinely want it. I read everything that comes in. You can drop it in the comments below, as long or as short as you want. Or if it's something more personal and you'd rather not post it publicly, DM me on Instagram. The handle is in the description. Either way, I will see it. The stories I end up choosing are usually the ones where I can just tell You really went through something. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be some massive situation. Sometimes the quieter ones are the ones that hit the hardest. So if you've got something, send it. And if you made it all the way to the end, thank you. Seriously. Subscribe if you want more of this. It helps more than you know. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.